Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Sauce. Nice little Friday night. Obviously, we cashed the Nuggets. I bet that pretty heavy. MLB ticket went 8-6. Well, it looks like it's going to go 8-6. The Cubs game is just finishing up now. Get this. So the top bets, I gave out 4 top bets, which I usually only give out 2 or 3. I gave out 4. They went 2-2. The 2 losses, both 9th inning walk-off losses. So it was an 8-6, slightly green night, but it could have been a real nice one if we didn't catch a couple bad breaks at the end there. But hey, we're on to Saturday, starting off the weekend right. 15 games. Let's go.
Welcome to the Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
D-backs at Tigers. Ryan Nelson pitching against Matthew Boyd. Arizona opens up as very slight favorites here, -125. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, heavy lean on Arizona here. 4-0 D-backs. Final score 5-0 D-backs. My first reaction to looking at this game was, this has got to be some kind of mistake. This seems insanely mispriced. And maybe I'm just the biggest square ever. But if you look at Ryan Nelson's numbers, sure, it's not the most trustworthy starting pitcher around, but we're getting him on the road. And if you isolate it to his numbers on the road, this dude can pitch. I mean, look at some of his road starts here. He went into Philly and held the Phillies to 1 run through 6 innings. He blanked Oakland through 5 1/3. I mean, that's Oakland. But then he went to Miami through 6 innings of 1-run baseball against the Marlins, a lineup that's been hitting right-handed pitching well. He now faces a Tigers lineup that's just completely fallen off, man. I mean, Tigers are dead last in WRC+, dead last in isolated power, 29th in average against righties over the last 30 days. This lineup's absolutely dead against right-handed pitching, and I think Ryan Nelson can actually put himself together a great game. Now, on the other side, we got Matthew Boyd pitching for the Tigers, and similar to Nelson, he's another guy who's just much better on the road. The problem with that, he's pitching at home. And if you look at this dude's numbers at home, I mean, we're talking 8.34 ERA, a 190 whip, and a 600 FIP. Those are dramatically worse than his numbers at home on the season. This is definitely a tough spot for him against this Arizona lineup. And yeah, if you look at the overall team stats for the D-backs bats recently, they're not exactly hot, but they're still getting to starting left-handed pitchers. The last 6 lefty starters to face the D-backs own a combined 27 2/3 innings pitched, a 6.83 ERA, and a 155 whip. So even though the Arizona may be struggling to hit bullpens a little bit, they're still smacking around left-handed starters recently. And then you add on the fact that if we take a look at the bullpens, Arizona has this pretty significant edge here in mostly all statistical categories. So I'm down to lay the juice with the D-backs here. It's at -130 right now on the money line. Definitely a little bit square, but I'll take it. Give me Arizona money line -130 next game. Marlins at White Sox. Sandy Alcantara pitching against Michael Kopech. Marlins open up as very slight favorites here, -120, and the total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got a heavy lean on the under here. 1-1 tie after 5 innings, final score 2-2. So Sandy Alcantara is having a rough season. That's no secret. I mean, 2-5 with a 5.07 ERA. No doubt about it. Those are some ugly looking numbers. But I want to turn your attention to the 122 whip he's got and the 3.65 FIP. Those are not bad looking numbers. In fact, a lot of baseball analytics heads will tell you that FIP is the most important metric when evaluating pitchers. Sandy Alcantara is 27th in the league with that 3.65 FIP. And look at the names around him. I mean, Marcus Stroman's got a 3.49. Shane McClanahan's got a 3.51. Christian Javier's got a 3.63. I mean, shit, Sandy's got the same exact FIP as Garrett Cole this year. So if you're a believer in those type of analytics, that 3.65 FIP should indicate to you that Sandy numbers should start to improve as the season progresses. And this could potentially be a great spot to start that positive regression. I mean, have you looked at the White Sox bats against right-handed pitching recently? If you haven't, you should take a look because it's awful. In the last 30 days, we're talking 27th in OPS, 28th in WRC+. This is a terrible lineup against right-handed pitching, and it has been for pretty much this whole season. I really like this spot for Sandy Alcantara, I do. Now, on the other side, we got Michael Kopech, and check out the turnaround in his numbers here. Through the first 5 starts of his season, he was 0-3 with a 7.01 ERA and a 43.2% hard hit rate. That was the worst in baseball at the time. Look at his numbers over the last 7 starts now. 2.72 ERA. That's dropped over 4 runs. His ERA has dropped over 4 runs in his last 7 starts. And look at the whip and the hard hit numbers. Damn near dropped in half. So huge improvement for Michael Kopech. But there's a kicker here. If you pull up his game logs and look at his opponents over those last 7 starts, he's only pitched against 2 lineups that are top 15 against right-handed pitching, the Astros and the Angels. And look at his numbers in those 2 games. 0-2 with a 6.00 ERA. So yeah, Kopech's pitching better for sure, and he deserves some credit, but he's still not pitching well against strong lineups. And you want to know who's been a top 5 lineup against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days? The Miami Marlins. I mean, look at the Marlins numbers here against right-handed pitching. These numbers do not lie. 5th in OPS, 4th in WRC+. I like the spot for Sandy. I like the spot for the Fish Bats. I know the Marlins crushed us last night with that walk-off loss in the bottom of the 9th. But I'm going right back to the Fish. I'm down to lay the juice at -125. Give me Marlins money line next game. Reds at Cardinals. Andrew Abbott pitching against Miles Michaelis. Cardinals open up as pretty heavy favorites here, -195. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet and another lean on Cincinnati here. We're looking at 3-0 Reds after 5 innings. Final score 5-0 Reds. Now, normally I'm really not jumping at the opportunity to back a rookie left-handed starter making his 2nd career start. But I'm happy to make an exception here. Abbott looked excellent in his first career starts. He pitched 6 innings, allowing just 1 hit and 0 runs. I mean, he truly had an elite start. I'm not going to ignore the fact that he walked 4 guys, but it's worth noting that the Milwaukee Brewers have a high walk rate. They're, I think, in the top 3 or 4 in walk rate against lefties over the last 30 days. But even so, even with those 4 walks, I mean, we're talking 1 hit, no runs over 6 innings. That's definitely impressive for your first career start. Last season, the Cardinals were definitely known as lefty killers. In fact, I'm pretty sure they finished, I think the Rockies might have finished first and they were second, but they definitely finished in the top 2 or 3 against lefties last year. That is not the case this year. Look at the last 2 weeks. In the last 14 days, they're 30th, dead last in WRC plus against lefties, and a 25 WRC plus, by the way, which is terrible. Dead last in WOBA, 29th in isolated power. So this Cards lineup isn't seeing left-handed pitching well at all. Obviously, they've never seen Abbott's stuff before because the whole league has never seen Abbott's stuff. His 2 main pitches are a curveball and a 4-seam fastball. Against those pitches from a left-handed starter this season, the Cardinals are 29th in WOBA, 18th in isolated power, and 28th in run value. I think this is a great spot for Abbott to come out and go back-to-back with great starts to start his MLB career. On the other side, we got Miles Michaelis. Kind of tough to get a read on this guy. He was terrible. Absolutely brutal in March and April to start the season. Up until May 1st, he had a 5.97 ERA, 1.71 home run per 9, and a 1.71 whip. Those are some awful looking numbers, but since May 1st, I mean, he's been dominant. A 1.89 ERA, 0.95 whip. He really turned his season around. I personally think Miles Michaelis belongs somewhere in between those 2 extremes. I mean, he's definitely not as bad as he looked in April, but he's definitely not as good as he's been looking recently either. And let's turn our attention to that start against Pittsburgh, which I believe was his last start. Yeah, that was his last start against the Pirates. Sure, he only allowed 2 runs through 5 innings. That's not bad, but he allowed 10 hits. He let up 10 hits in 5 innings. That's terrible. He was lucky as hell to only give up 2 runs. Another thing to note here, Miles Michaelis has a great start against the Reds in Cincinnati in May. He went into Cincy, pitched a 7-inning shutout, but I actually think that's more the outlier because if you look at his career numbers against Cincinnati, he's got 6 career starts against the Reds. He's 1-2 with a 6.53 ERA. So that 7-inning shutout, I would definitely say is the outlier, and he's due for some regression. And the Reds bats have been smoking right-handed pitching. I mean, the Reds bats have been smoking any pitching recently. I mean, against righties, they're 7th in WRC+, 4th in OPS, 5th in average. This is over the last 14 days. Against righties on the road over the last 30 days, 1st in OPS, 2nd in WRC+, 1st in WOBA. So this has been a dangerous lineup as of late. I know they lost for us last night, but I have no problem going right back to this red-hot Cincinnati team. So we got the Reds first 5 at +138, Reds full game money line at +150. I might bet them both, or I might just pick one. I'll let you know for sure on the live show tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Next game. Twins at Blue Jays. We got Joe Ryan pitching against, I guess, Bowden Francis for Toronto. There's no line or total open on this game. I'm guessing that no one is really... I don't think the Toronto Blue Jays pitcher is certain at this time. Might have a bet for this one on the live show at 11 a.m., but skipping it for now. Next game. Padres at Rockies. Ryan Weathers pitching against Kyle Freeland. Padres open up as minus 205 favorites. Total opens up at 12.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 4-2 Rockies after 5 innings. Score after 9 innings, 4-4. So no real lean on the side there. I'm skipping this one also. We got a lefty-lefty pitching matchup in Coors Field. I keep saying I really don't know how to get a feel for this Padres lineup right now. They're so up and down. So yeah, there's 15 games on the board. I'm not forcing anything. Next, Mets at Pirates. Kodai Senga pitching against Johan Oviedo. Mets open up as minus 165 favorites. Total opens all the way up at 12.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 4-2 Pirates after 5 innings. Final score 7-3 Pirates. So heavy lean on Pittsburgh there. Well, we're handicapping a Kodai Senga road start, which means we got to begin by taking a look at his horrendous home away splits. Sure. That 1.93 home ERA looks great, but he's got a 6.12 ERA on the road. Whip and FIP numbers also skyrocket on the road. Just to give you an idea of how unreliable Kodai Senga is on the road, dude just got rocked by the Cubs. I still have this graphic from yesterday. I'll put it on the screen. Look at the Cubs numbers against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. This lineup completely smashed Kodai Senga for 6 hits and 5 walks through 5 innings pitched. A whip over 200. So why don't we take a look at the Pirates numbers against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days? And as you can see from this graphic, pretty middle of the pack, pretty average in most offensive categories here. If the Cubs lineup was able to hit up Kodai Senga, certainly an average Pirates lineup can. That being said, look what happens when I change the sample size from the last 30 days to the last 14 days. The Pirates go from an average lineup versus righties to an elite lineup versus righties. Pittsburgh's absolutely crushing the ball right now off right-handed pitching. By the way, these numbers are from Fangraphs, and they don't update their data until late night. So these numbers right here that you're looking at from the Pirates against righties, that's before they just put up 14 runs on the Mets last night. So Pittsburgh, with the updated data in the morning, Pittsburgh might be the best lineup in baseball over the last 14 days against right-handed pitching. So safe to say, yeah, I definitely expect the Pittsburgh bats to score some runs on Kodai Senga here. I feel like that goes without saying. Now, Oviedo certainly hasn't been great. Here are the numbers from his last 5 starts. I know the 2.57 ERA looks good, but a 4.46 FIP indicates that he's had some good luck to have that 2.57 ERA. Certainly there's some regression on the way for Mr. Oviedo. I definitely don't trust the Mets lineup right now, especially without Pete Alonso in it. But that being said, they should be able to score some runs right back on Oviedo. But still, can they keep up with a Pirates lineup that on paper should absolutely smash Kodai Senga on the road? I'd say probably not. So I'm going to go Pirates money line at plus 115. I'm also strongly leaning the over. In fact, on the live show, I might end up only going with the over here. Total sitting at 8.5, and that's just too low for these pitchers. So Pirates money line over 8.5, maybe both, maybe just one. Let you know at 11 a.m. on the live stream. Next game, Royals at Orioles. Brady Singer pitching against Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin back from the minors. Baltimore opens up as a minus 165 favorite. Total opens up at 9. So like I said, Cole Irvin's back with Baltimore after being sent down to AAA. Before being sent down, he was absolutely terrible. 10.38 ERA, 200 whip, 5.36 FIP. He was really struggling. But you know what? Maybe getting sent down to the minor leagues is exactly what Cole Irvin needed, because through his 7 AAA starts, he had a 3.21 ERA, a 1.05 whip, and a 2.45 OBA. So he was pitching well in AAA. He now faces a Royals lineup that he actually has excellent career history against. Through his 4 starts against Kansas City, he's got a 2.19 ERA and a 1.05 whip. Now, he was 1-2, his record in those 4 starts, but he was pitching for Oakland, so why don't we cut him some slack there? Meanwhile, the Royals have just fallen off against lefties. If you rewind about a month ago, this lineup was actually kind of sneaky good against lefties. Not anymore. In the last 30 days, they sit 29th in WRC+, 29th in WOBA, 28th in isolated power. This team's not seeing left-handed pitching well at all. One of the coldest lineups in baseball against lefties. I think the odds are priced for Cole Irvin to pitch a good game here, and I believe he's going to have a fine outing. On the other side, we got Brady Singer pitching, and I just don't trust this dude at all. He's been inconsistent, definitely more so bad than good. Which is disappointing because he finished out the second half of 2022 really strong. He is coming off strong outings, solid back-to-back solid starts at home against the Rockies and Nats, which is encouraging. but his only career start against Baltimore, he made it just 2 innings, allowing 8 hits and 7 runs, so not so encouraging. The good news for Brady Singer is that start against Baltimore, that was 2 years ago. That was all the way back in 2021, so I don't know how much weight that even carries. And right now, the Orioles lineup is most definitely slumping. 27th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching over the last 14 days. I think Brady Singer might be a little better than his numbers indicate. He's got a 3.77 FIP, and usually that means, usually, in case you're unfamiliar with FIP, 4.00 is pretty much average. So 3.77 FIP means despite his numbers not showing it, he's pitching slightly above average if you're the type of person that believes in those kind of numbers. So I think it's a sneaky good spot for both starting pitchers here. We cashed the first 5 under in this game last night. I'm going to go right back to it. The line's not open yet, though. So I'll let you know on the live show at 11 a.m. when everything opens up. But as of right now, I'm thinking first 5 under in this one. Next game. Dodgers at Phillies. Bobby Miller pitching against Aaron Nola. Phillies open up as very, very slight favorites here, -115. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at a lean on LA here. 3-0 Dodgers after 5 innings. Final score 5-2 Dodgers. Well, don't look now because Philadelphia has quietly won 6 in a row. 6-game winning streak for the Phillies. Now, 3 of them were against the Detroit Tigers. Not throwing them a parade for that. But 2 wins in Washington, definitely solid. And then a walk-off win against the Dodgers last night. Definitely solid, definitely deserving of some credit. And Aaron Nola's pitching. And if you look at the numbers from his last 2 home starts, absolutely dominant. He went 7 full innings in each of these starts, 2-0 with a 1.29 ERA and a 0.64 whip. Absolutely dominant. But here's the kicker. Those starts, like I said, they were at home. It was against Detroit and against the Cubs. That's 29th and 30th. Those are the 2 worst lineups in baseball against right-handed pitching right now. If we take a look at Nola's numbers from his other 3 home starts this year, they start to look more how we'd expect them to look. 4.34 ERA and a 4.57 FIP. He's pitching against the Dodgers here, so coming off back-to-back elite home starts against those terrible lineups, this might be the perfect sell high spot for Aaron Nola, especially considering Nola gave up 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts against the Dodgers. On the other side, we got Bobby Miller pitching, and I know it's a small sample size. This is a 24-year-old rookie making his 4th career start. But holy shit, this kid has been absolutely dealing. Through his first 3 career starts, he's 2-0 with a 1.06 ERA and an 0.76 whip. And a 2.11 FIP indicates that it hasn't been from good luck. This kid has truly been pitching that well. It's not like he's pitching against scrubs either. His first 3 career starts at Atlanta, Washington, who's been solid, and the Yankees. Those are the teams he's been pitching against. Now he's pitching against a Phillies lineup. And your current opinion of the Phillies bats basically comes down to what kind of sample size you like to use. Because here are the Phillies numbers against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days. Certainly nothing to write home about. Basically bottom half of the league in all major categories. Now, what if we change the sample size from the last 30 days to the last 7 days? Yeah, big difference here. Last 7 days, Phillies 3rd in slugging, 3rd in OPS, 5th in WRC plus. So yeah, they're hitting the shit out of right-handed pitching right now in the last week. Is that enough of a sample size? Do you trust that? I personally am going to put my faith in the kid, man. I'm going right back to the Dodgers again, even though I took a tough loss with them with that Kyle Schwarber walk-off home run last night. I'm going right back to it. Dodgers money line -105 next game. Nats at Braves. Mackenzie Gore pitching against Jared Schuster. Atlanta opens up as pretty heavy favorites here, -185. Total opens up at 10. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 3-2 Braves after 5 innings. Final score 7-2 Braves. So Mackenzie Gore, if you remember, he started off his season red hot, and it started off with a great performance against Atlanta. 5 1/3 innings, 1 run against the Braves in the season opener, in his season opener. Through his first 4 starts, Mackenzie Gore had a 3.32 ERA, 2.84 WOBA, 1.29 WHIP. He was pitching well. Now, if you switch it up and look at his last 7 starts, sure, the 4.14 ERA doesn't look that bad, but his WOBA jumps to a 3.64, whip all the way up at 1.51. He is definitely not pitching at the same level now that he was in the first 4 weeks of the season. And that's very concerning heading into this matchup because the Braves have caught fire. In the last 30 days against lefties, the Braves were 4th in WRC plus, 2nd in isolated power. The Braves lineup is truly all the way back. Now, on the other side is Jared Schuster, and he's kind of on the exact opposite trajectory of Mackenzie Gore because he started off the season terribly. In his first 2 starts, he had an 8.31 ERA, 5.24 FIP. He was terrible in his first 2 starts, but if you take a look at his last 4 starts, 3.68 ERA, .451 FIP, showing signs of life. And 2 of those last 4 starts were against Seattle and Texas, 2 top 10 offenses against left-handed pitching over the last month. So can we trust him in this rematch against a Washington lineup that really rocked him earlier in the season? Actually, they rocked him in his MLB debut. 6 hits, 5 walks, and 4 runs through just 4 2/3 innings. Yeah, of course, he's probably going to pitch better than that, but I still expect Washington to score runs on him, honestly. Despite the Nats going through a little bit of a slump, in the last 30 days, they're still top 10 in OPS, WRC+, and average against lefties. And then we add in the fact that the Washington Nats bullpen has been the worst in baseball in the last few weeks. I'd say Braves money line as a parlay piece, and I'm also leaning full game over 10. I'll let you know what I end up doing on the live show tomorrow at 11 a.m. Next game. Rangers at Rays, Nathan Eovaldi pitching against Taj Bradley. Tampa opens up as very slight favorites here, but actually this one's down to a pick 'em now. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, heavy lean on Texas. 5-0 Rangers after 5 innings. Final score 6-0 Rangers. This is most likely just going to be a blind bet on the Rangers for me. I know a blind bet against the Rays in Tampa makes no sense, but this dude, Nathan Eovaldi, is the hottest pitcher in baseball right now, and I don't even think that's debatable. This guy has pitched his way right into the AL Cy Young discussion. Look at his numbers here. Through his last 7 starts, he's 6-0 with an 0.68 ERA and an 0.68 WHIP. Absolutely dominant. Like I said, in my opinion, this is the hottest starting pitcher in baseball. We're talking about a run where he's thrown 52 2/3 innings. 52 2/3 innings pitched, allowing just 4 runs. 2 complete games in there, 2 games of 8 innings or more. It's just crazy. So yeah, at a pick 'em, give me Texas money line at -110. Next game. Oakland at Milwaukee. Paul Blackburn pitching against Julio Teheran. Milwaukee opens up as -165 favorites. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 2-1 Brewers after 5 innings. 9-inning score, 3-3 tie. With Paul Blackburn on the mound, let's start by taking a look at the Brewers' numbers against right-handed pitching. These are the numbers over the last 30 days, and obviously before we even pulled them up, we knew these numbers were going to look bad. Basically bottom 6 or 7 in every offensive category against right-handed pitching. But look what happens to the numbers when we switch it from the last 30 days to the last 7 days. All of a sudden, the Brew Crew bats are showing signs of life against right-handed pitching. Now, these aren't exactly elite numbers, but top 10, top 11, top 12, compared to how they were hitting a month ago, it's a night and day difference. Coming off a home loss to Oakland, with Paul Blackburn on the mound being a huge question mark, I think it's safe to say Milwaukee's going to put a few runs on the board tonight. On the other side, we got Julio Teheran, and he's been good as hell. Now, I know the 3.98 FIP has definitely got some people thinking that some negative regression is on the way. But I mean, through 3 starts this year, a 1.56 ERA and an 0.92 WHIP, he's truly been excellent. And despite Oakland's bats showing up the past few days, I'm still down to bank on Teheran pitching a great game. Another great game, I should say. I'm most likely going to hit the Brewers in the first 5. Milwaukee first 5 run line is sitting at -115 right now. That's probably the angle I'm going to play. I'll let you know on the live show. Next game. Actually, we ran out of time. There's still like 3 or 4 more games to go, but it's 1:30 in the morning, so we got to start editing this. Like we always do, I'll go through all 15 games. Toast is going to join me in the morning, so that's 11 a.m. Eastern time. I will go through the line movement, final picks, all that. If you're able to make it, hope to see you in the comments. If anything changes with any of the bets I just named in this video, I'll let you know on Twitter, so give me a follow there if you're interested. And if you want the final ticket, which has every single bet we're making, how much we're betting on each, top bets, parlay of the day, that kind of stuff, head over to KyleKirms.com.